Peace, peace. Let's get it going. We're getting ready to get set up so we can get to our Sundays with Seba. Today we're going to be looking at human beings as the microcosm, human beings and the human body and the human experience as the microcosm, as we are continuing our process of working through and working with. I'm going to be setting up our online piece so we can get that cracking as well. Get everything ready and get it moving. Hope everything is well with you and yours, and that you are viewing this with me from a safe place of safety and comfort for you and your loved ones. Huh? Yeah. So, getting it set up for me here. How we doing? Okay, we good? All right, all right. No. Gonna share it into the group. We can go ahead and get that moving and be ready. Okay, so that's almost ready. So we're gonna be getting everything ready here. Get that a little love like that. So we can get that straight. We got good light for everybody today. You are almost in place. You are in place. Oh, let me get this in. All right, so we're getting ready to go live. That way, so we got me. How we doing? How are you doing? And peace, peace. Volume is up. We are recording. We are live. Herrera. Coming in. Yes. All right, so this is our angle for y'all. We're getting ready to hit it. Hope everybody's good. So good to see everybody. We're doing our Sundays with Seba. And we're getting ready to hit it and go live everywhere. And we're about to begin. So we are, come back to me. Here we go. Let's see. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. We headed there. We on our way. Hopefully y'all are enjoying the look and the vibe, fam. Trying to get my babies on up in there. Tapu, peace and blessings to you. Trust it all is well. Greetings to everyone as they join us as we getting everything started. Tapu, Tapiren Pet, or a Happy New Year. This is the festive second day of the year for the Kemetic New Year for some of the renderings. So I'm grateful for you to be joining me on such an auspicious day. It is also an awesomely hot day where I am beautifully humid, wonderful sunlight. Hopefully you have a chance to enjoy some of this wherever you may be. that you have an opportunity in a safe place. So again, we're doing our Sundays with Seba Inpu Ka Mut. I'm grateful for you to be present. I'm going to try and quickly sum up. This is a series that we're doing, basically trying to establish a relationship between people's understanding of their body and getting people to have a deeper appreciation for their physical body, particularly during these times when people will be spending a lot more time with a lot of time on their hands. And so I'm just going to quickly sum up. So the first few sessions that we've done, we looked at first at the ways of how you get information, how you're talking about acquiring information in your body in terms of the ways of knowing, and then how you test whether or not that information is accurate using basically variations on the scientific method. So once we understood that, and we also talked about how the science of breath works and connects in with that way of knowing, because breath links you to your consciousness, breath links you to this physical body. And so that while we have this physical body, we then needed some time and ways to understand that once we get the breath, the physical body needs some other things. And so the next session, we talked about those other things, and those other things actually were specifically this physical body along with water and nutrition. And so we talked about how that impacts the body. Your nutrition impacts your body, how your things you see with your eyes, you listen to with your ears, things you smell with your nostrils, things you touch or place on top of your largest organ, your skin, how that impacts the body. Got it? So once we did that, the next piece that we follow up with is we look not just now at the breath, and remember the breath experiment that we did, and we called it the bellows breathing, where you're breathing using the strength of the core muscles, the abdomen, to be able to generate the breath and to get it moving in a conscious way. We then did an experiment where we talked about that, and you had an opportunity to experience in your body the feeling and the sensation of warming the body, using the consciousness, using the breath, using the mind together to create a warming sensation in the body that you all were able to feel. And peace and blessings all. And so if you have that opportunity, try it again. You know, it's the first one, so you get an opportunity, go back, check it out. And then we talked about nutrition science, and we got into it a bit. We're talking about, you know, healthy foods. The main piece I want you to get is look at your ancestry, and what you'll identify are the foods, the food structures, the healing plants, the healing herbs from where you come from, that your body, your people, the people in your lineage most likely would be the best things for you to eat on a consistent and regular basis. And to drive that point home, we talked about fasting, and we talked about the way in which fasting is used and how fasting then connects to the larger understanding of the human body, how fasting connects to the larger understanding of our relationship to the planet. Because wherever you are, there are specific plants, got a little hiccup there, y'all, excuse me. Specific plants, specific herbs, specific oils in whatever region of the world you are that aid you in maintaining optimal health. And so if your ancestry comes from or hails from those regions, your body then adapts to those places. And that then becomes the influence that we see in the modern anthropologists are trying to talk about as the influence of geography or the influence of place. And what we want to talk about today is, as we get beyond it, so now again, we talked about breath, we talked about all the input that you need and how that impacts your digestion, impacts your overall physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being. And then we got into how that impacts your outer world. And so we started looking at what we call cycles. We don't refer to it as time, we refer to it as cycles. And the reason why I started off today dealing with Happy New Year is because in the Kemetic tradition, we talked about when there's a particular star system called Sirius, and we call it Septet. And so when you see Septet on the horizon, they call it the heliacal rising. So when you see it actually at the horizon in the morning before the sunrise, that usually signified the beginning of the floods back before they built the dam that changed the entire scope of what was happening in East Africa. But we won't talk about that today. That will be a session that we will talk about in the future, talking about the macrocosm, and we'll start getting with that. But I really want you to think about this microcosm a lot stronger, okay? So that when we're here together, we're talking, I say microcosm, we're talking about your body and how we're gonna work on doing some specific things with the body. I'm gonna talk about a couple of measurements that I referenced earlier. And then I'm gonna talk about larger ways that you can begin to see yourself as a smaller version of what exists elsewhere. Okay. First, I'm gonna get into the cycles. And once I get the cycles together, what I'm gonna talk, then we're gonna lean into the main structure of our time together today, where we're gonna talk about what is really happening with the body, okay? Is that good for everybody? We can work with that? Yeah? Excellent. Thank y'all for rolling with me and hanging out. So then what we get is this physical body. We've optimized the food that we're getting. I'm not necessarily promoting being vegan, although it's been very beneficial for me. If you're doing things that are plant-based, you want to get as close to the earth as possible. Again, this is not one of those pushy vegan things. I just want you to think about very strongly the food you put into your body and how your body responds to it. And we talked about that a bit more in depth with the fasting piece. We also talked about the food log. It's important that you basically chronicle your relationship with your food to make sure that you have a beneficial, mutually beneficial relationship with the food that you eat. That you're not eating out of emotion, out of perceived trauma. And the reason why I say perceived trauma is that many of us that have lived through the Ma'afa and the multiple genocide attempts against African descended peoples in the diaspora, what you want to think about is that some of those things are a result of colonialism, are a result of capitalism, are a result of imperialism, aren't necessarily directly related to individualized trauma or trauma within one particular family line. That some of it could be the result of, not some of it, most of it is going to be the result of capitalism, colonialism, imperialism. And we want to be able to identify those things clearly, call them what they are, because we want to be able to call a thing, because that helps with our body. Now, hopefully you're in a place where you have good level of comfort. So one of the fun things about the body is that the body provides its own natural measurement. So if you remember the very first session, for those of you that haven't, check it out. It's in my IGTV area. It's very useful. Hopefully I'm engaging and you get an opportunity to check it out. What we're talking about is the body has natural measurements. And by natural measurements or natural relationships, what I'm going to spend the bulk of our time today talking about is, we've talked about cycles, and I'm going to get into the microcosm. We know about the lunar cycle and its relationship to women, and that the lunar cycle is roughly 29 and a half days. Most folks say it's 28, but it's really about 29 and a half, which basically is 30 days. And so that's where we get into the Kemetic calendar that we covered last time, with it being 30 days a month, with it being 3 weeks long, 10 days per week. So you get 30 days in a month, and there being 3 seasons. And so as a result of that particular cycle, you get like the planting cycle, the cycle of inundation, and then the harvest cycle. And this is in Kemet, or along the Nile River, along the Happy Valley. So one of the things that we want to look at is, now when we're talking about our body, we talk about using our systems of healing, the Qigong, the meditation, the AHA, the Tai Chi Chuan, the Qigong. What we're talking about is understanding a deeper relationship with the organs, the organ systems, the subtle bodies that we talked about before, And now we're going to talk about how they relate to the larger cosmos, to the larger world outside. So in order to do that, I'm not going to get very deep in terms of the weeds. I want to be able to make this an engaging, accessible conversation for all of us. So if there are questions, then I can go into a little bit more depth. The goal is to make it so that we can begin to start to really pique the curiosity that you may want to have about your physical body and be able to see yourself for the first time. So for starters, I want to say that if you're not getting sun, if there's some physical reason, some medical reason you're not able to get sun, please don't. What I want to say is that for everybody else, get as much sun as is appropriate for you. And I like to say that, I like to celebrate in my birthday suit. And so that when we're talking about dealing with the sun, the suit that you want to wear is the suit that you were given at birth. And so you want to basically say, what I'm saying is you want to get as much of this beautiful organ exposed to the light as you can. Got it? And what that enables you to do is to produce a good deal of vitamin D over more of your body. Now, I'm not saying that, you get your body burned, and that's not, again, don't take it to the extreme. It's not what I'm saying. Please listen to my words carefully. You want to expose, and expose isn't even the correct term. You want to provide access to the sun to as much of your physical body as you can in as natural a way as possible. Particularly now during this season where the sun is vibrant, it's giving off different energy, and we won't get into, but the sun has its own cycles. So it cycles the solar flares, when it gives out gamma radiation. And so again, our ancestors, in terms of that, gave the sun different names for different times of the year, different times of the day. And when the Westerners came, they thought we were just some crazy animists and didn't understand what we were doing. And now they're basically saying the same thing, although it's supposed to be different now because they're scientists and we were primitive. So we've already talked about that in the ways of knowing. I'm just jokingly want to bring that back into your consciousness so that you can remember that our ancestors were not primitive, that the very foundation for all of this that we have now rests on it. And that could either be seen as the floor or the ceiling, depending upon your perspective and bias. So now let's start to look at the body. So in terms of our body internally, we have, and you've heard me talk about the bellows breathing, but basically this area of the belly is seen as, we call it the cauldron or the place of fire, the place of energy generation through work. All right? And so that is kind of what we do, and that's what we do on the daily basis, and we do that with high frequency. And so that then generates the energy that moves and transforms the flow of energy through the body. You have this wonderful organ that does not cease. It is called the heart. And so in reference to the internal body, you have an internal sun, and that's your heart. Good. Each of the internal organs that you have a particular relationship that may vary slightly depending on the system of healing that you are connected to. So I'm not going to get in depth around one or the other. I'm just going to get you to, so if you're studying traditional Chinese medicine, if you're studying Tibetan medicine, if you're studying African systems of healing and medicine, you'll understand that there are different energies associated with the different organs and potentially different, what we call them necher, or different divine is a word that is helpful, but it's not, it's constraining. But it's a principle that lives and manifests in the human body in a particular way. And so the heart has a connection, the lungs have a connection, the liver, okay, the stomach, the intestines, pancreas and spleen, kidneys have a relationship. I'm going to talk about the kidneys a bit more because in the Taoist system, the kidneys are seen as the root of the lotus flower. The lotus flower is seen as the blossoming of the consciousness. So we want to do what we can to take care of the kidneys. We want to do what we can to take care of the back, to keep it safe, keep it protected, because that is the path. And so now I want to get into a larger piece. We're going to talk a little bit about flow. And by flow, I mean the flow of energy, the flow of water, the flow of life. And we talk about this way, that in the ancient times, they also knew how to dam rivers and how to reroute rivers. And so, matter of fact, the founder of the first dynasty in Kemet, known as Achaemenid, he actually changed the course of the Nile River by shifting it. He didn't dam it, he shifted the course. Very important to understand, because if you check the admonitions of Tumaat, you'll find that damming the river was one of those things that was forbidden. And it was forbidden because of this very subtle reason that I'll get into. So that I'll talk about it this way, that water by itself, flowing water is alive. All right. In other words, it carries a charge. It carries an energetic frequency. Not just because it's moving, but because of the minerals that are contained in it. It carries a charge. Okay. And so that damming the river shifts and dramatically changes the bioelectric relationship to that river valley by causing that. So in other words, you're actively killing parts of the energy flow that occurs in the site. You're changing the cycles that occur in this particular area. So now as that change occurs, and that's just from damming the river, now you'll begin to see why we talk about how the removal of blockages in the human body, be it through the flow of blood or the flow of energy, particularly are set up so that you're able to have maximal flow. So it's important, whether it be from the line from the bladder out to the urethra, whether there be blockages in the intestines for a variety of reasons, we want to be able to have a smooth flow. And that can occur from a variety of reasons. But we're going to talk about, again, is we want you to have appropriate hydration, appropriate aeration, or the ability to get air where we need it. And we talked about that. We talked about the breathing. We talked about the negative ion processors in the nostrils, and about how that's very important, because that is what you use to help fight off the free radicals in the body. Last time we referenced the nitric oxide production in the body through the nasal breathing. So I want you to understand that your body is doing this amazing thing that they're just now starting to understand. And through the work of active breathing, conscious breathing, mindfulness, through doing the meditations, not just in our system, but if you have any self-defense system, any healing system, what you're doing is you are reconnecting and re-establishing neural networks between your brain, your mind, and your physical body. We do that through the repetition of movement in the Tai Chi Chuan, so that your body creates a particular orientation that changes the energetic flow through the body. Okay, we with me so far? All right. So now, in doing that, we need to understand that if water is alive, we'll say, but what I basically mean is that it carries a charge. It's living. It's not something that doesn't have energy that's flowing through it. And we talked last time in reference that the human body is a transceiver. It has the ability to both transmit and receive energy that can be measured now. Okay, they have defined enough instruments to be able to verify what I'm saying, not just throwing this out as conversation. You can check it out. There's research that talks about this. They've been able to do some of the chakra points have been able to be mapped along the lines that they were predicted to exist. So I'm not going to go into depth on that. It's just, I see it as a given. And Western science has started to so-called provide background support for those that need Western science to do so. So like I said, so now we talked about the internal organs. Now I'm going to talk about kind of the structure of the body. I did this before, but if you have an opportunity, what I want you to do is to take, so you have between your wrist and your elbow, this inside part of your forearm. If your feet are, not with your shoes on and not if your feet are all dusty and dirty, but if you got your feet clean or you're not wearing shoes, and when you get to place and your feet are clean, what I'd like you to do is to place your foot in between your palm, the base of your palm here, and this part of the forearm where it comes into the curve. And what you'll find is your body has a natural measurement there, and that your foot fits there, right? Okay, and then another fun piece that we know is that if you want to make rice and you want to cook rice appropriately, it's not, what you want to do is you want to go to this digit right here, this first digit, you need that much water over the rice once you clean the rice and then all of that. What I want you to think about, though, is that for most of us, the length of this digit should be different. But no matter the difference for the amount of rice that we're making, it works. And that if you get an opportunity to check your foot measures out. The other piece I want to talk about is that, see, relative to my giant head, and I recognize I got a broad, long, kind of oblong shaped head. So, it is what it is. You got to know who you are, right? But I say all that to say that my ears are small, but that for most of you, your fingers will fit in your nostrils and your ears, okay? Not somebody else's in a nice and efficient way. Just want you to start looking at how your body is connected for you. Okay, this is for you. Okay, so now we talked about those kind of little measurements and those ways you can actually check yourself. And I'm kind of glad this isn't a Zoom conversation where I don't see people checking their fingers and nostrils. But, I think, I'm sorry, I'm a hip hop head, so Biz Markie just jumped into my head. So we got it this way, talking about this single digit. Okay, and so now what I want you to really think about is showing the folks on Facebook Herrera, because we're over there too. What I want you to now think about is, I didn't do the chi face massage here, but I'd like you to just place the bone of the palm of your hand right here, and you'll notice the center of your palm goes right into the center, right over the eyeball, right here, just like that. Just try it out, because I want you to see these wonderful measurements, and that it's for you with your body. Okay, so again, it's here. Sit it right on top of that cheekbone, and the center of your palm should be right where your eyes are. Make sure to close your eyes. Okay, now we've got that worked out. We know how many fingers and toes and metatarsals and metacarpals and the different bones and relationship that we have. And that's important because we want to stay safe. All right. Now, what I want to talk about, we have a movement, a particular stance that we utilize to remove blockages that we use for both self-defense purposes, for strength building purposes, and for healing purposes. And we call it the Asar Stance. And so you see I'm rocking my Heru shirt today. So Heru is the son of Asar. And we won't get into son of, but basically it's talking about principles and energetics, not necessarily specifically, literally, although perhaps. What I want you to think about is the Asar Stance is a way of dealing with being upright, being stable, being forthright, possessing the ability to show steadfastness. And so that's what comes from Asar Stance. And I'm going to talk about it in terms of the microcosm, because many of you may not have, if you go check out our YouTube channel, we have something specific on the Asar Stance. A little video shows you how to get into that particular meditation position. But what it's designed to do is to start us on the first level of understanding the human body as a microcosm. And when I say microcosm, I mean smaller version of the big all that exists outside of us. Got it? Okay, so now that we get that happening, what you want to really think about is, so we get to a position where the feet are shrouded. It looks almost like you're riding a horse, but the feet are out at a 45-degree angle. So your feet are wider than shoulders width apart at a 45-degree angle. The hands are out and they're here and they're relaxed. Not gonna show you the full position just because working out the angles and getting it so you could see it. I've already done that on the YouTube channel. So please check it out, okay? So again, and this isn't to focus on that particular stance, it's just to get you to understand the concept. So what I'd like you to do, and you can do this right now where you are, we're talking about the bellows breathing, and it's warm where I am. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is to, as you breathe, just close your eyes. And I want you to breathe and see your breath, fill your lungs and come down past your lungs and flow down all the way into the belly. And as you're breathing in, I want you to push your stomach out. And then I want you to breathe out, and I want you to pull that stomach in and feel that energy coming out of your body. Keep your eyes closed. I want you to keep that breathing just like that. When you breathe in, you push your stomach out. When you breathe out, you pull your stomach in. Keeping your eyes closed, I just want you to be able to focus a little bit. I want you to see your legs as the roots of a tree extending down into the earth. I want you to see your torso from the hips on up to the shoulders as the tree trunk, all right? I want you to see your arms, however you have them right now, as the branches of that tree. Even if they're just relaxed at your side, sitting on top of your legs, hands on top of your knees, keep breathing with your eyes closed. Now I want you to see your head gently balanced right on top of the spinal column, so that the brain stem and the spine and spinal cord connect gently, and your head is kind of sitting on there like a bobblehead. So just let it sit still, balanced. And you've got a golden thread on top of the head that extends straight into the heavens, able to keep the head in place. Now, I want everybody to just see that, see it, see your whole body as a tree. And we're going to just do 4 breaths, seeing your body as the tree. Relax. And if you are in a place where there is heat, if you have the ability for there to be a cross breeze where you are, relax. As the body warms, the cross breeze will come. All right, we're going to try 2 more breaths. Then I want you to open your eyes, kind of give the body a little shake all the way down. And then what we're going to talk about is your abdomen, your core should feel a little bit warmer. And if you're in a place where it's hot, you should be sweating. And not should be, you may be, depending on how we're doing, but you should feel warmer. And we covered this in the first session. So we understand that that's already a possibility. Everyone is a little different. It's your first time. People may have blockages in different places. The goal of this is to get you to feel your body and to see the tree. Now, why a tree? The main reason is that trees have immense metaphysical and spiritual relationship to Africa. One being that the baobab tree is considered one of the oldest trees on the planet. It's considered a great tree for providing sustenance and protection for the people. And when they get old and they die, they're used to store water, even though they maintain their structure. So it's one thing, so it's a way for you to see this body, this vessel, as one that is able to provide connection and relationship and benefit to loved ones long after what animated the body is gone. And so we'll get into how that connects a little further down. What I want you to also think about is that the roots, so the energy comes up from the earth into the body. And as it comes up from the earth and into the body, that energy we borrow from the earth too, the same way it happens for the nutrients that come through the roots of the tree. And it serves as a reminder for us that we have to take care of the legs, we have to take care of the joints, all of this area we refer to as the roots. Because the roots are what? That's the foundation, that's the anchor, that's the area of the body that we utilize to build upon and uplift, right? So we need that. And now, the trunk. Now, the trunk grows however the body is given. So that you have trees sometimes that need support because they were planted by humans in the wrong place. And they reach for the sun. And they do their very best to do so while being anchored in the earth and reaching for the stars. Our bodies do the same thing. Whatever you consistently and continuously do with your physical body, your body will adapt. And so our ancestors that were here talked about that, and they talked about good posture. They talked about not being here, don't round the shoulders, sit tall, back erect. Important. The structure is important because that's what we build upon. Remember, I talked about the kidneys being the roots of the lotus, right? The lotus flower. So that then means is that the lotus flower, again, is that it comes up through the muck, right? And so this body, we're not really going to get deep off into alchemy, but understand that if you've ever done Tai Chi Chuan, Bagua Zhang, Xing Yi Chuan, or you've done some of the other African systems of self-defense, AHA, Muntu arts, really what you're looking at is a system of alchemy. That the Westerners, when they got exposed to what we were teaching, they took it literally as in saying, well, I can change this lead into gold, as opposed to saying I can take this coarse material and I can refine it through the cauldron and the alchemical changes inside through applying the power of the fire and the breath, removing the blockages, have that energy rise up through the muck and flower. And lotus flowers were also sacred in Kemet, which is why the temple I came from, the temple of the white and gold lotus, shrine of Amun-Ra, where we begin to look at now a larger microcosm, so that many folks see the earth as this lone planet of consciousness out here among all these other things that are going on. So I'm going to come back to that as a part of the macrocosm. Now what I want you to really consider is that your body has billions and billions of cells, right? And so you aren't just a body. There's actually beneficial and helpful bacteria and microbes that are in every part of your body that you would not be able to exist without, right? And you don't consciously know they're there, but they're there. And so there's a relationship that these microbes and these smaller microorganisms have with you that you're not you without them. So what I'd like you to consider beyond the tree meditation that we just talked about as a part as it connects to the Asar Stance is that your physical body is a universe. And I really want you to think about that, because you have billions of cells that hang in the balance, that actually are in orbit, that respond to your frequencies, that respond to the thoughts that come from your spirit to your mind into your brain and transmit it out to the rest of the body. So that voice that you hear speaks to this entire organism, keeps it in line, aids it in fighting dis-ease, or opens it where dis-ease is increasingly possible. And so now what I want to talk about is your responsibility. So if you know that this is your universe, well, who rules your universe? Is it ruled by marketers and people like the followers of Edwin Bernays and people that are manufacturing the consent of you because you're not in control of this thing by the foods that you eat, the things you consume? And consume also means what you take in with your eyes. How are you taking control of this? And I don't mean take control in a way. I mean, are you mindful and conscious that your body is its own universe? And it has a ruler. And that ruler is supposed to be you. And that's where the I am comes from. As you connect from your I am to the big I am. And so that if your body is indeed a universe, perhaps you might want to spend some time not just taking that telescope and looking outwardly into the cosmos, take some of that quiet time and breathe deeply and look inside. And there are folks, I can lead you on a guided tour. We may be able to spend a few minutes doing that today. We may, okay, just so you can get a feel for what I'm talking about. Because I really want you to see yourself in this way, as a universe floating through on this wondrous planet. And so now, my goal in the classes that I teach and the meditation systems I offer, the healing practices that we utilize are designed to get you to claim sovereignty over the universe that is your body. So it allows you to now be that drop of an ocean. So even though the drop knows it's the ocean, to smaller things, that little drop is the ocean. But the drop itself sees itself and knows itself that it is a drop in the ocean. So I need you to understand that you are both the ocean and the drop at the same time. And in that, we are here making up a larger ocean of humanity. And as such, how are we caring for this larger body that we exist on? And that larger body that we exist on is called the earth. Are we making sure the flow of energy on this earth is efficient? Or are we damming the flow of the rivers? Are we excavating all of the core minerals out of the body of this spaceship earth that we're on in ways that are really going to change? What is our relationship to the fresh, sweet water without which we cannot live? Think about it. Your body. Most of you are not at a meditative level where you can go without water for beyond 3 to 7 days. All right? And I say that to say we're not just talking about extreme, we're talking about your head and your body, organ failure, other sorts of things. So now let's really begin to examine what's happening, okay? Because what we're really talking about is if we're doing that to the earth, if we're shifting the energetic relationship of different parts of the planet, think that that doesn't have an impact on other parts, we know that's not true. We don't have multiple oceans, although we give them different names: Pacific, Atlantic, Mediterranean, Ethiopian. I know some of y'all call it Indian. I use the older name, Ethiopian, but even Ethiopia isn't what those people call themselves. What I want you to think about is, what is our relationship to this planet? And what are we doing to keep it healthy and safe? And we have both a collective and individual or family responsibility for that, because we exist within community, not just by ourselves. How are we teaching the new young people that we are responsible for how to manage their own bodies, how to deal with consent and healthy boundaries for their own bodies, peace and blessings? And then how do we deal with helping young people understand what are the efficient ways to use this body? That they understand that when we talk about the sun externally, that you have an internal sun, that's your heart, that puts out so much energy that we can measure it. It has a specific frequency that is beyond the brain's frequency. And the gut has a frequency, can be measured, that the brain and the gut communicate with each other. And that while they say the gut is the second brain, the Westerners still haven't really worked out why the gut has so many neurons in relationship and connection to the brain. All right? And I'm not going to go into depth on that today. I just want you to understand that's why when we focus our mind to the core of the body, we're activating those nerves and those neural networks. Okay? That I'm seeking through the information that my elders gave me. The way I like to throw it into common language is to say that we've been given the owner's manual for the human body. And if that's the case, then all we got to do is read RTFM, right? Or RTM. I go with the F on that, RTFM. Read the manual. Learn how to listen to your body. Learn how to be your body's friend. The more you do so, the more your body will begin to trust you. And we do that through the physical movements of the Tai Chi Chuan and through the meditation systems, where you learn how to trust your body, where your body also learns how to trust you. And we move in ways that you begin to understand the physical body's relationship to the larger cosmos. We do that through, we have our lunar cycle, our solar cycle, our larger solar cosmic cycle, and then get into the equinox and the solstices, and then we get into the one grand circuit. And so I want you to begin, as I said, whether you be an Abrahamic faith or one of the other Asian traditions, your internal organs have a relationship to the specific planets and that relationship to specific plants on the planet right now that have, some are positive, some are negative. For one example, that women need iron in their bodies here on the planet. Men, for a great deal, need zinc at a higher capacity than women do. So there's a different relation. Also negative for men is nickel for most men, because it has an affinity for the prostate gland, which can lead to negative issues for men there. Women need to, well, I'm not going to say it. Yeah, I am going to say it. Shun the sunglasses if you can. All right, just minimize the amount of time you have them, because your eyes, for women, there is a nerve that goes directly from the eye and eye health that connects to the uterus. And so your uterine health is connected to your sun exposure. Okay? And that's beyond the food and everything else. So when you hear me talk about the relationships, I also want to talk about now you want to see your relationship to the planet. And that's why we come from the microcosm. So again, your body can be a tree, but it's mobile. And so I got some homework for y'all for the next session. Okay. Someone asked a question, as I'm relearning myself, how do I demonstrate to my children? One way you do it is you make it a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. You make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. So that as you do something every day, because again, children don't follow words, they follow behavior, they follow actions. So if you model the behavior, your children will follow it. So if you're up every day working, moving, stretching, at some point they're going to get curious and they may try. You just explain to them what's happening. And you see, they can try it and check it out. You know, my son, my children, actually all of them have been around this their whole lives. I don't force it on them. But again, if you're doing something and it's going to be the cool thing because you're their parent. And after a while, they're going to check it out for themselves. And if you're relearning yourself, like you're talking about someone who's coming back to themselves, they'll get the opportunity to see, because they don't really know you anyway, but now they'll see this change and they may acknowledge the changes that you're doing and how it's happening, and may want you to meditate more, or may want you to do some Tai Chi or some Qigong, because their experience of you may be different. And then you can offer them to join you as a way, one, of just reciprocity, and a way of understanding that we exist in relationship. All right? So we're at a time where I've covered a little bit around just really surface in terms of the microcosm of a human being. And I really want you to see that there's also, I'm big on the Avatar: The Last Airbender cartoon from Nickelodeon. And so you can actually use that cartoon. It actually talks about, he shows him, he's in like a modified Asar Stance, of how his relationship to the Avatar state, his relationship to the higher consciousness, his relationship to his higher self is connected to his ability to remove the blockages and the restrictions that are holding him in place. His goal is to heal. And so I implore you to spend some time breathing consciously. If you get an opportunity, check us out. We're on YouTube. We're on On Instagram, you can go to the link on the bio. We got classes at 8:30 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can check it out. If you miss it, we're on YouTube. And we got every class from April on YouTube. And so if you've never done this before, I would suggest that you start with our April sessions and just kind of check in with the newer ones if you have time. I know that that time is not necessarily conducive for folks who are working from home and other sorts of things. That's why we have it also on YouTube. But that's what it's there for. So I'd like now to take a couple minutes, see if there are any questions for our folks here on the gram. Anybody still in the chat with us want to share or have a question or want to talk about what's happening with them? We have a new moon coming up. We're in our new year. So you have an opportunity to really begin to see what's happening. And I need you to understand that there is an African understanding of the cosmos, not connected to the temple of Heteru at Dendera, which was actually done during the Greek period. But there are older relations that are known and that are connections to the stars as well as to the planets and their relationship to the human body and relationship to you claiming sovereignty over your body. And so you have an opportunity through your breath to be able to be more conscious of what's going on and happening with your body. And regardless of your practices, regardless of your spirituality, regardless of whether you have a spirituality, we all do, but I'm talking about those that say, look at it as a religion and faith. Regardless of that, these are tangible, measurable tools that can aid you in connecting with your physical body in ways that allow you to get the colonialism out, get the imperialism out, to return your body and mind to a state that allows you to commune with your ancestors, your elders, in ways that are healthy and healing, not just for you, but for your partnerships, your household, your family, your community, and then we get to the larger world at hand. Because if you go outside right now, wherever you are, look at the earth and see how dry the soil may be, unless you're in rainy season in some place of the world. But before you got to that rainy season, has it been drier than normal? Have the weather patterns shifted? Have the harvest seasons shifted? Are we experiencing a different planet? I would say yes. I would say that being close to the earth and planting fruits and vegetables that you harvest, either through trees or bushes, you understand that the earth is drying out. And that means that there's a retreat of the fresh, sweet waters that we all need to survive. And that there is enough food, there is enough water, but not if we hoard it. Not if we forget what it's like to exist in community. And one of the ways that we can begin to exist in community is first understanding who we are and getting a greater understanding of our body and ourself. And through that understanding, you'll have a greater understanding, greater respect for elders, for babies, and all in between. Any questions for anybody they have for a brother? I know we zipped through, but the goal of these, Sundays with Seba really is to zip through in ways that allow you to kind of get an overview of what we're doing in our classes and in our sessions for the Kemetic AHA and Sama Association. All right? And so next, what I may do is I'll bring some props. And what I'll start doing is start breaking down some of the Necher and how they relate to what's going on in the larger cycles and begin talking about the microcosm. And then we'll next talk about the macrocosm. And as we talk about the macrocosm with this next section, we'll begin to do that. So I'd also like to spend, hopefully you get a chance, if you're ever on Facebook, jump on over and check us out. We had a wonderful self-defense Saturday where we talked to Professor Zahalia. We talked to Sister Nati and Sister Stephanie about women's self-defense, about Black August, about the relationship of women as warriors, women as healers, as a way to, in the sense of African tradition, women were warriors, women were healers as well. and they served a vital role in our freedom. And acknowledging the ritual on the night of August 14, 1791, that led to the first free Black nation in the Western Hemisphere in Haiti. And so next week, we're going to talk a bit about cycles again, and we're going to slide Black August back into it. As you understand, it'll be the 23rd. It'll be the day after the commemoration of the start of the Haitian Revolution. And so we're going to talk about the microcosm, macrocosm understanding of that in terms of Black August, in terms of Haitian Revolution, in terms of the body, in terms of where you can get good, accurate information about Haiti, in terms of the history, in terms of why it is one of the places on the earth that people are still proud, even though these Westerners try to debase and abase them. And we all in the West, if you are a free person, owe your freedom to the fight of our brothers and sisters out of Haiti, including the rebellions that occurred here in the United States, all the way up through the Americas. So I don't see too many questions. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to sign off. I'm so grateful that you all were able to spend a few minutes with me. Thank you. This has been Sundays with Seba, where today we talked about the microcosm, dealing with the human body, and how it relates to Asar Stance, how it relates to looking at your body as its own universe, ways to claim sovereignty over that body, and in the claiming of sovereignty over your physical body, what are some tools, techniques, and practices that you can employ to do that by making a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change? So I am with the Kemetic Aha and Sama Association. We're here on Instagram. You can find us on our other social media as KhASA Aha. You can see the logo behind me that, you know, kind of speaks to the whole vibe. And when you have an opportunity, we're going to be doing a few things as we wind up Black August. Specifically, we're going to talk here on Instagram just about the relation to the larger rebellions, because, you know, again, the anniversary of the start of the revolution in Haiti next weekend. We want to talk about that in the context of the understanding of cycles, in the relationship of the microcosm to the macrocosm. And I'm going to throw out some general things around spirituality in terms of African cosmology. And I'm going to throw out and share some things in relation to the 100-year anniversary also of the red, black, and green flag that Marcus Garvey gave to the community, so that we can begin to contextualize the body, the body's relationship to the cycles, and the body's relationship to our communities, our families, and how we can then utilize that going forward to expand. Because what is needed right now is for us to be who and what we chose to come to this planet for, right? The earth needs us right now. Our community needs us right now. And it may require us to do some things that we did not think that we were going to do before. But when you make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change, you will see the world differently. And as they say, you know, when you change the way you look at things, the way you look at things changes. And I know that's silly, but if you actually change the way you look at some things, you'll actually see that when you look at them, they've changed. And with that, I will honestly say that I am clear. I'm grateful for your time, your attendance, your participation. And what we'll do next session is we will get into a guided meditation. We'll do something light and easy so that you have an opportunity to really experience what we're doing here with the Kemetic Aha and Sama Association. Check us out. when you get an opportunity. Our goal is to aid you in reclaiming sovereignty over your physical body through making a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. And we're not doing this alone. We have partners that we work with, as we don't do it alone. We were given these gifts and these skills by our elders. They were transmitted to them by their elders. So I don't come from you personally having created these things. It's been handed down from mouth to ear. And as a result of that, I get to you what has been whispered from the ancestors. We also are in partnership with Doshi Healing Arts. We are in direct partnership with Ra Life Defense. We're in partnership with the Intersection for Mankind. So those are things that we're doing currently. We have a lot of other partnerships that we're doing. We have a lot of healing relationships with healers all around. So I understand that you may be in the colonizer's grasp. Take an opportunity. If you're a woman and you have an opportunity and you got something, call a midwife and see if a midwife is not able to help you. Peace, Lulu. Call a midwife and get checked out there and see and feel the difference in your body. Okay? If you're a man listening, watching, cultivate a relationship where you can support midwives in whatever way that you can. Keep them safe when they need to be out in the street, particularly under the season and the things that we're dealing with right now. Find out how you can be of service. We all have skills. And as you saw last night, 3 women on our panel, and you can go on Facebook and check it out on our KhASA AHA page. I suggest you do it. You'll see just how amazing and talented and powerful these women are. And I want to spend the last few minutes just having a moment of silence for the Dahomey Mino, or the so-called Amazons of Dahomey, or Dahomey, and with one in particular, her name being Adabaraya Etu, also known as Victoria Montu, believe it or not, Montu, who was the teacher and elder of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who was known as the liberator of Haiti. Notice Haiti keeps coming up. She taught him self-defense systems, martial arts systems, how to shoot, military strategy, martial strategy. She taught Dessalines. I need you to understand, Black women, specifically Black women. Your place is wherever you choose it to be. Enough said. Hatapu, peace and blessings to you wherever you are. Uncle Ja Sened, life, health, and strength to you wherever you are. Please take precautions should you be in more danger of the COVID. This is serious. I know it may not be experiencing to you, but if you don't get with the math, Google exponential curve. Just Google it, and you'll understand what's really going on in a much more specific way. Our ancestors understood math. Don't be ignorant and shame them as a result of it. Thank you much. Appreciate y'all. See y'all soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right, fam. I know we're still rocking it over there where we are on Facebook. Give me just a moment to decompose and deconstruct, because we are breaking it down over here so that when I come back to you over on our Facebook Live, you get a little of that behind the scenes love, you know what I'm saying? A little of that BTS. So that way you understand that as this is going forward and going through, you get to see that it's really a simple process. You got a brother that's working it out, doing the very best that I can so that the community, our community, particularly in the KhASA group, affords itself the opportunity and time to get it done, right? So we want to have and take that time to do us and get us what we need. Okay? No, it's going to be there. Okay. Yes. And so what I want to say is that I'm going to come in and I want to see if y'all have questions here in the Facebook Live Arera, as y'all is here on the Thewizzle. So we're going to check that out in a quick second. It's still cold almost. Okay. So we're going to check that out. I'm going to try and eat my food here. Get my first or second meal of the day down. Me a little coconut milk yogurt and get those lactobacilli and bifidus in the system. Right. Got to get that. So this is what I'm doing now so I can get my son some without having the dairy, kind of help and support him a little bit. All right, I'm so grateful that y'all came. Let me see if we got any questions in the group. Let's see, good. All right, I don't see any more questions in there from y'all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut it down. I'm grateful. Thank y'all so much for your participation here in the group, in the community. And then we'll see y'all soon. Kotapu, Ankh Ujasaneb. Peace to you, life, health, and strength.